name's Car on Fire, and welcome back to Conan Exiles. Today we're going to be looking into a certain topic that has come across my radar. And it's been one for a while because we actually talked about it in a video, well, maybe a couple of months ago, about legendary chest problems and people blocking them. Conan have gone ahead and implemented their fix for this issue. And their way to fix this was to remove legendary chests from the overworld completely. There is a way you may still access these chests though, but it does require you to go into something specific. You have to go into dungeons now to get your legendary chests. And they're not just placed anywhere in dungeons. If you want to get your legendary items now, you will pretty much need to gather all your keys and bring them to the end of the dungeon you're doing. You could also kill some of the previous free skull bosses and stuff like that for unique and legendary rewards, but it depends what you're killing for that and what it drops. So you can get more legendaries that way, more unique items that way as well, but most of the time your legendaries will be in the bottom at the very end of the dungeons. So any chests that used to be just placed up here and stuff, they are no more. You will not find any more open world chests. They have completely gutted them to fix the issue of people covering them over and building on top of them. The world bosses have not changed though. They are still tinkering about, you know, they'll still be all over the map and you'll still be able to access them just as normal. However, they have had a little bit of a change, which I can show you here today. If we kill off this tiger, they now have proper drops. So if we're going in the inventory here, you can see a few nice bits, but he's given me a unique hardened steel short sword. So now you can still farm out the skeleton key, of course, out of these, but now you get extra rewards with your world bosses. So we'll do another example as well. We'll go over to Mr. Thunderfoot over here, one of the most tricky bosses to do in the world because he's got a lot of health. If we were to get rid of him, you can see he does drop another unique item. There you go. Hardened steel punching daggers, and then just a bunch of other drops. And if you farm him, you still get the key. So you can get nice items that way. They've also added a few like mini bosses to a few dungeons you can get extra legendary and unique items from as well. The biggest one I noticed a difference for when it came to adding extra mini bosses and all sorts was definitely the war makers. That's where I saw a difference. So I highly recommend checking there if you want to seek out some more legendaries, because it's probably going to be one of the most profitable dungeons to go in for unique and legendary items, and you don't have to do the full dungeon for it. Before we move on to where I show you where all the legendary chests are, I want to quickly go over something which is a huge change to the way legendaries will work. And it is a positive thing, believe me. So, now what they've said, despite the durability used on a legendary item, it doesn't matter, it gives you the same amount. They have now said dismantling legendary items will now give back 100% of their dismantle value regardless of their durability. Now when I first saw this, I was like, oh, that's awesome, you can just blend anything. Not really with some items. I was trying my predatory blade and that doesn't seem to work, even though it's a quarter of durability. So I don't know if they've done it properly or what, or if it's only some items. I've used durability on that and it is working. But either way, apparently it works on some things, apparently it doesn't work on other things. My black bar, I used a bit of durability and I can dismantle it. Apparently this should give me the same. If I was to blend another one, that should give me another 3, totaling to 6, and it should give me the same amount, which it has done. Now, if I fully used up my, durability on a legendary weapon, this is a nice way to recycle them, 100%. Free alchemical base for a black borrower is very poor. So I think some items you can blend, some items you can't for some reason. I think Predatory Blade is one of those I cannot show. Reliable Butcher, that's giving me some free star metal. That would be really nice considering there is a new spider boss hanging out in the Dregs right now. If I was to blend the Aegis Bane, let's say I fully used it. So yeah, any durability, you'll get the same amount of resources back. They gave me 12 star metal bars. Happy days. I've recycled it into something nice. Apparently that doesn't work. We're just going to throw that out. Crom's hammer. That doesn't work apparently. Apparently it's a bit etchy. There's Axe of the Lion. Let's blend that up, see what we get from that. we get another 12-star metal boss. You get the idea. So if you fully like exhaust a legendary item, sometimes with some items you can just fully dismantle them and get something back out of them. They're not just sitting in your cupboard broken. You can now fully just dismantle them and get rid of them for a little something back. No matter what the durability, it will give you the same amount as a full durability item. So I hope they fix the ones that are not working so we can kind of dismantle them all very consistently, and that will be happy days. But some of them, you can blend them, doesn't matter on the durability, happy days, you know. Starting off with a nice and frosty one, we have the Temple of Frost, and we're going to be going into the Temple of Frost to go and get our legendary item. This one is a little different from the other ones because most of them do them at the end, but this one has a slight few changes. So instead of, you know, just killing the main boss, you're actually going to come to this main corridor where you have several turn-offs. We are going to go straight right, and there is a brand new boss down here, which is the Black Yeti boss. He has a legendary chest right under him, and you can also farm him for a key, so it's, you know, 2 in 1. Defeat a boss, get the key, there's your legendary box. Now, instead of right, if we were to turn left instead, there is also another change down the bottom of this area where the Black Ice Forge would usually be. I wanted to quickly go over with you because I saw a few comments on it and I have noticed they have changed it, and I wanted to show you what exactly they have done to this one now so you guys can know. So if we go to the bottom of this area, there is an ice dragon here with a few chests. Now the ice dragon drops some different loot on it, yes. It also has a few chests down here that drop nice chesty themed items, and it has a legendary crate right here behind it, so you can get another legendary box. If you were to kill this off, you can now get unique items out of this dragon when you slay it, so you can get some nice hardened steel stuff. I will say most unique items tend to be of the hardened steel tier, so just bear that in mind. You might be able to get a nice hardened steel item of your preference. Next area we're going to is the Well of Skelos dungeon. The area we're looking to go to the boss chamber. Now you can defeat this boss and do all the regular stuff, but he now actually has more chests, including legendaries that I wanted to talk about, and we have a look in some of them as well. You can see that are pretty nice. So here we go, there's your 2 new legendary ones. So if you bring a couple of keys down here, you can get some legendaries out of this one. Also, in a previous video, I talked about the little mini bosses you fight along the way. They all give uniques, and then you can get some other juicy loot down here as well. And oh, the new treasure, which I will have a video coming out on it very promptly, very soon, because I've discovered a very new cool thing that is not being talked about, so that should be exciting. Now, not far from there is King Scourge's dungeon, and his legendary chests are in his room, and he's a worthwhile going into kind of boss, okay? So if you enter into King Scourge's boss room now, you know the places you would usually go to learn his armor. In both of these areas now, there is legendary chests in the back that you could go ahead and unlock. Now, he has 4 of them, so definitely worth it and a quick dungeon to run. Today, I am not going to be showing you full dungeon runs because I've probably done them numerous times and have numerous videos on them. So if you're interested in how to run the actual dungeons, I'd recommend looking up those because they have not changed at all, apart from having like a couple of new mini bosses and maybe the war makers, but that will give you an idea at least. End boss room, you have 4 legendary chests in King Scourge's dungeon. Very worthwhile one to look at considering. Going to our next dungeon, the Silver Mines, which most people will not bat an eye at because well, it's not like a regular dungeon you would visit a lot because the loot is just not worth it. It's a quick Queen Scorpion farm, you know. Now, in the end boss chamber of the Silver Mine, there's your Queen Scorpion as usual, but now there is more legendary boxes. There is 4 in this one as well. So again, this is a really easy dungeon to run, and you got 4 legendary chests, and this will drop legendary keys if I remember right. Yep, in the inventory even, she drops a skeleton key and you can farm her for a fragment of power. So you already got 1 key unlock, and then you just need like 3 other keys, which you can get another one by the King Scorpion over there. So in theory, you only need 2 skeleton keys to bring to this dungeon. The other 2 you earn here. So this is a really good spot to do this. So 4 chests here. even in the Dregs, your beginner entry dungeon, now you can go ahead and get legendary chests. So here we go, here's the boss. Let's get rid of this guy. Boom. So satisfying every time. Now in the bottom of the stinky pool, there's a couple of skeleton key boxes. There you go. And there's actually 3 in here, surprisingly. So if you want a really easy dungeon to run for keys, there you go. You got 3 key boxes in the bottom of the pool, and it's pretty much just a grab and get out. That's a really quick one to run. Maybe not as profitable as other dungeons, but it's worth bearing in mind, especially if you're low level. Maybe you can kill some crocodile bosses and this will be your first place to go. Now I wanted to do a quick mention here because the Witch Queen dungeon does not seem to have spare legendary key boxes, so this is not one you can run for the boxes, not from what I've seen anyway, unless they add in some last minute. But there is no legendary key boxes at the Witch Queen's palace. There is, however, if you go to the dungeon right next to it, some key boxes in the end of this one. Technically, if you come into the end of the Sunken City dungeon, where you'd usually find the ritual keeper and all her fish boys and this big boy, now if you come to where you would enter the tablets, there are a lot, and I mean a lot, of skeleton key boxes. There are 6 in this dungeon, so you could bring 6 keys for 6 legendary items. So that is a really good spot to do your key unlocking in this dungeon in particular, especially as you could pretty much swim to the end chamber and not bother with any of the other chambers and just like run straight down here. You just have to defeat this room basically and a few blue boys along the way, and you can come and get your loot, and you can come and get a free teleport out of here as well by you know, once you defeat the bosses, unlocking those fast travel doors. And that is what has happened to the legendary chests now. But I will reiterate one thing to you guys: it doesn't mean things like bosses in caves have changed. So for a good example, the Demon Spider Arena, it still has its legendary box in it that will not be removed. So anything that's safe within the instance kind of area or a no build area, their chests will most likely still be there for you to grab. It's just the overworld ones. So like the areas you would find world bosses and they have chests next to them, like the rhino, the tiger, scorpion bosses you have all over the map, demon spider bosses you've had all over the map. They will not have chests in their area now, but they will still be there. So you'll still be able to earn keys via this way or via doing caves or whatever, but the main way you're going to be able to get your legendary weapons and tools loot is now by going into the deepest part of many dungeons across the map. I don't mind this change really, because you know, you still have access to your chests in the normal places like here, but it does mean that nobody can really like frig with you anymore, like official servers and stuff like that. So I think it's a good change. It might be one to readjust to, but in general I think it was something that needed to be done a very long time ago, where people could at least not build on these spots. I said a prevention zone, but I get that can kind of remove the feeling of freedom in the Conan Exiles game, because you pretty much can go anywhere and everywhere and build anywhere and everywhere. And I guess that was one thing that you couldn't really change. So I think this is a good way to go about it, and it works. You know, it just requires a little bit extra traveling and making sure you have that inventory space, or you are bringing in a thrall that will have that inventory space. And that means really good news for people that like really tanky bearers. I mean, you can get a really tanky bearer that has loads of health, and now you can have that with you and bring that down to the dungeons and help you pick up extra items. And you're going to want to anyway, because the loot is really nice at the moment, especially in dungeons. Maybe not so nice in like areas you would used to farm, like Set City. That is a lot of furniture now, but you know, in dungeons it will be definitely way more worth it to go ahead and farm for those special items. Either way, I hope this video helped inform you on some of the changes coming to Conan Exiles. This is a pretty big one, so I've been meaning to cover it since I found out about it, because I was like, whoa, They did something, okay? But anyway, thank you for watching. I love you, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye!